Welcome to Stop the Fight, episode 15. And today we're talking about this weekend's Mayweather fight. Let's go.
Don't brag about taking my side piece. Don't brag about taking my side piece, though.
I broke my back. Back is broken. Spinal.
And she's strong, man. Good boy, just.
All right, guys. Mayweather's back yet again. One of the greatest of all time. Undefeated. Beat the one who slayed Manny Pacquiao, Shane Mosley, Oscar De La Hoya, is fighting Logan Paul, the YouTuber. Yes, this is going to be an 8-round kind of an exhibition type of a fight. You can't even really bet on it. I know maybe, well, not on DraftKings anyway, but you can't even really bet on this fight, and for good reason. I think people are being suckered here. Floyd is right. This is just highway robbery. Guys, Logan Paul, not only is he not a fighter, fighting against Mayweather, who's in the argument for being maybe one of the 5 greatest, or maybe even the greatest fighter of all time. Logan Paul, first of all, has not boxed for any serious stretch of time in his life. And second of all, he's a YouTuber. People are saying, oh, he's a big guy. Who cares? You guys don't, there are big levels to this. Very big levels. And Logan Paul is so far away from a Mayweather level that I don't care that he's a foot bigger or taller or 50 more pounds heavier. He's not even going to touch Mayweather. So this is an 8-round fight. Currently, the odds on DraftKings Sportsbook look like this. Mayweather for minus 1,000. Logan Paul for plus 650. The over-under at 5.5 is minus 110 each way. And Mayweather to win by KO is at minus 160. Paul to win by KO or DQ or whatever by plus 1,000. Fight to go to distance, plus 160. Fight to not go the distance, minus 200. So, yeah, those odds are insane. Andre Berto was like a plus 1,000 against Mayweather. And Andre Berto was a legit champion at 140 and 147. At one point, he was a very explosive, powerful puncher. That was Mayweather's last real fight that he had. Conor McGregor was not a real fight. The Andre Berto fight was the last real boxing fight Mayweather had. And he blew him out. And that guy was a plus 1,000. Logan Paul's only a plus 650. I don't even know where these odds come from. Not that you can bet on it anyway. DraftKings said they're going to hold like a $50,000 competition where you can predict the fight. Whatever. This is a big money grab for Mayweather. This is going to be on Showtime pay-per-view. So, it's going to be fun to watch, spectacle. Like I said, I'm for this kind of stuff. Mayweather has proven all he needs to prove in his career. At 44 years old, there's nothing left to prove. It would be stupid for him to get in with a Crawford or a Spence. He's obviously slowed down significantly. And hell, I can even see Mayweather being favored even now against a Crawford or a Spence, even at 44. But there's no need for him to get in the ring, no need for him to risk his against a real fighter. He is an all-time great, a Hall of Fame first ballot type of fighter. He's the richest fighter to have ever, walked the earth. He has supreme business acumen. He knew when to go away from Bob Arum, went to sign with Al Heyman, went to become his own guy, went to open up Mayweather Promotions. He is quite a miraculous fighter and all around just an amazing talent. Mayweather is, and he has his haters, but you know what they say about haters. So again, I don't expect this to be competitive at all. I guess Mayweather will mess around. I'm not even really going to predict the fight. I just know Mayweather's not losing. He'll mess around. But on the Mayweather undercard, we have some actual fights, some real fights. We have Badou Jack versus Dervin Colina, and the fight that I really want to talk about, Jarrett Hurd versus Luis Arias. All right, so Jarrett Hurd, of course, is this is second fight back since losing a tough fight against Julian Williams, of course, went on to get knocked out by Jason Rosario in the following fight, but he really beat Jarrett Hurd up in that 2019 fight. Jarrett Hurd was undefeated champ at the time. So he looked okay against Francisco Santana. a fighter he was supposed to look good against. He didn't. Something changed with Jarrett Hurd in that Julian Williams fight, I feel. I don't know if it's his confidence. I don't know what it is, but he definitely didn't look quite all right in that fight, and he didn't look all that good in the fight he was supposed to kind of look good in against Francisco Santana's comeback fight. So now he's in against Luis Arias, which I think is a pretty good opponent for him. Now, Luis Arias is 18-2, 1 draw. 9 knockouts, no defeats by knockout. He had lost to Daniel Jacobs by unanimous decision. Wide, not a competitive fight. Unanimous decision. He had a split draw against Gabriel Rosado. And remember what I said about Rosado many episodes ago? He's a much better fighter than he looks, and he seems to fight to his level of opposition sometimes. And then he lost to Luke Keeler in what is a pretty big upset. Luke Keeler, he's kind of like a grinder fighter. He's 17-3 with 1 draw, 5 wins by way of knockout, and 2 of the 3 losses were by way of knockout. He recently was knocked out by Demetrius Andrade a year ago. Now, he has no business losing to Luke Keeler. Not only did he lose to Luke Keeler, he was also knocked down and hurt numerous times. He was knocked down in the first and in the 9th. And he just looked all around awful in that fight. Now, I don't necessarily think that's the same Luis Arias we're going to get in this fight against Jarrett Hurd, but he's clearly a weaker puncher, brought in again to further rebuild Jarrett Hurd. And over here, again, I think we have a chance for a little bit of a money-making opportunity. Now, again, guys, this is not financial advice. You are grown people. You make your own bets. Please. You make your own bets. You're grown people. This is just what I'm doing, and I'm just letting you know. It's for educational purposes, let's say. So the over-under is at 8.5 rounds at -15 both ways. Now, I like the over 8.5 rounds over here. Luis Arias, if he is in decent shape, he should go the distance here. As he went with Danny Jacobs, the full 12, just a few years ago, and Danny Jacobs is a much, much harder puncher than is Jarrett Hurd. I think he's a much harder puncher, way more snap in his punches, and is just a bigger guy, or at least a fuller guy. You know, Jarrett Hurd is not a small guy, but I think Daniel Jacobs is, in fact, the stronger puncher and just a bigger overall guy, even though they're both the same height. He just snaps better. So I fully expect Luis Arias to be able to handle what Jarrett Hurd brings. Now, of course, like anything else, this is a risk. And he doesn't seem to have enough power to put Jarrett Hurd out. Jarrett Hurd was able to really get beat up by Julian Williams when he lost him 2 years ago. Really get beat up, and he wasn't really in danger of getting stopped. So I don't think either guy can stop each other. I think, I don't want to worry about predicting the fight. If I had to predict it, I think Jarrett Hurd wins by decision. But to cover my bases, I'm taking the over 8.5 at -115. It's close to even money odds on here, and I think it's a reasonable play. Again, I don't think Luis Arias will beat Jarrett Hurd. He's a little bit smaller, and he won't have the pop to keep him off. So even though the plus 680, 650 looks good, I think that's trap. I don't think he'll be able to keep Jarrett Hurd off him. And Jarrett Hurd's going to be on him, landing a lot of punches, smothering him out, and he won't be able to stop him either. So really, I think Jarrett Hurd to win the decision, if you have to put a gun to my head, but I'm going to take the over 8.5 at 115. By the way, Jarrett Hurd to win the decision is a plus 150. So, just letting you guys know. All right. We also, like I said, have Badou Jack on the fight against Dervin Colina. Now, Badou Jack is, he's been a pretty good light heavyweight throughout his career, and super middleweight, of course. But he seems to be approaching the end of the line here at 37 years old. He doesn't have much pop. He's 23-3 with 3 draws, 13 knockouts, 1 of defeats by knockout. He's a good fighter. He does a lot of things well, but he doesn't seem to have much pop. and he couldn't get out. Like he was Blake McKernan was the last opponent that he fought, and Blake was really brought in to make Badou Jack look good, and Badou Jack looked all right. Like he shut him out. He shut Blake out, but he didn't look particularly great doing it. You know, before then he lost his previous 2 fights against Jean Pascal and Marcus Brown, and I'm starting to wonder whether his prime is gone. I feel like it is. I feel like it is. He just didn't, like, you're not supposed to take Blake McKernan to a decision. I know he's a tough guy, but he had no business being in the ring with you, even as an undefeated fighter. So he's fighting against, like I said, Dervin Colina, who is 15-0 with 13 knockouts. Now, that is a very overrated resume. Very overrated resume. Yeah, you look at that kind of resume and go, oh, wow, 15-0 with 13 knockouts. That's he's knocking people out 86%. Well, he's also 33 years old. He hasn't fought anybody, really. If you look at his record, you know, his previous fight to Badou Jack, he fought against Wilman Contreras, who was 9-17 with 4 draws. Before then, he fought someone named Orlando de Estrada, who was 13-9, and before then, Fidel Monzo, who was 39-20. Basically, Dervin Colina has fought absolutely nobody. Sure, he's knocking them out early, but at this caliber of opposition, I don't know. Like this is one of those fights that, again, Badou Jack is being brought an opponent that he can hopefully either get out, take an undefeated record or something. But the DraftKings odds are showing you Badou Jack at -5,000 and Dervin Colina at plus 1,000. Now, just simply because Dervin Colina is plus 1,000, I'll probably put a beer worth of money on him, maybe $5-10, simply because you're just given 10-1 odds, you know, and you can throw $5-10 on it. It'll be $50-100 if he wins. If Badou Jack really declined, or if Dervin Colina is one of these really insane power punchers who is just so good that we just don't know about it. Though one of these like undercover guys. But I'll tell you right now, looking at his box rack, looking at his picture, he looks like he sells you cars and doesn't fight at light heavyweight. As a matter of fact, all his fights, most of his recent fights have been actually at 168. It's super middle. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this fight. Again, this is another soft touch for Badou Jack. Now, of course, I think it's because he didn't look so good against McKernan in his last fight that, again, you want to take him slowly back in here. Remember, Badou Jack is not a power puncher. You know, he's knocking people out at 44%. You know, 23 wins, only 13 by knockout. So, I mean, he's going to be bigger than Dervin here. Dervin's 5'11.5", and Badou Jack is 6'1". So he's going to be the bigger guy. Let's see if you can get him out of here. If not, maybe he aged overnight. And at plus 1,000, I think $5-10 would be interesting to see just how much he actually aged. Now, we have a fight card in England. Daniel Dubois is back. First fight back since that stoppage loss to Joy Joyce. That's whose name I forgot all those episodes ago. Joy Joyce. Now, Daniel Dubois, whatever, is a big guy. 6'5". He's 6'5", 240. He's a big boy. He coming into the Joyce fight, he pretty much knocked everybody out. Pretty much. All but one. Kevin Johnson actually made the decision with him. You know, so he's a big, strong, heavy. But against Joyce, he was taking, I guess, you know, to use the old boxing adage, taking a deep water where he wound up drowning. Well, not drowning. I mean, his eye was he had an broken orbital from what I understand. His eyes closed shut. Now he's coming back to fight against Bogdan Dinu. Bogdan Dinu is also another big guy. He's 34-year-old Romanian heavyweight, orthodox, 6'5". And he's known for losing to Gerald Miller and Kubrat Pulev. Now, at points in fights, Bogdan actually looks pretty good. He does. Seems like he can put his hands together. He's a pretty strong guy. He's 20-2 with 16 knockouts. He's got a little bit of pop at heavy. But if you look at his knockout losses to Pulev, he just seems to kind of give up. And similar with Jarrett Miller, that knockout loss, he just kind of gave up. As soon as he fought any level of adversity. Now, when you're trying to predict this fight, I do think Daniel Dubois is going to win. I think he'll win quite unquestionably here, actually. And the odds have it as Daniel Dubois at minus 3,335 to Bogdan Dinu at plus 900. So Bogdan is a significant underdog, but given that he was knocked out by both Jarrett Miller and Kubrat Pulev, and Jarrett Miller is not a heavy puncher at all, you have to assume that he has no chance against Daniel Dubois, who's a pretty significant puncher at heavyweight. So what I'm interested in here is not picking the winner again. It's the over-under at 3.5. So the under 3.5 is at plus 100, and the over 3.5 is at minus 134. Does Bogdan make it out of those 3.5 rounds? That's really what's interesting for me as a bettor in this fight, because I may want to parlay this and the Jarrett Hurd fight, because otherwise there's not really much money this weekend. Almost seems like what's the point of betting? But this is a very difficult one to try and predict, because if Dino comes in there lazy again, I don't know. I definitely don't think Dino wins this fight. And just when does he get stopped? Does he get stopped early or does he get stopped late? That's the only question I have. And I still don't know which way I'm going. I think I'll make the decision day of. But I'm leaning to the under 3.5. Where I think Daniel Dubois is going to come out and just knock him out in the first or second round. I really think he'll have something to prove. I think he's going to come out there hungry. He's certainly the stronger guy, this big guy. Dino gets hit quite easily. So I think I'm probably going to take the under 3.5. I'm going to parlay that with Jarrett Hurd, the over 7.5, 8.5, whatever it was, in the Jarrett Hurd fight. And probably catch myself, But remember, guys, when you parlay things, both bets have to hit. Someone was recently, there was a little confusion about this. Doesn't matter if you parlay 6 bets and all 5 hit, but the 6th one doesn't, you lose the entire bet. That's the way these things work. So if you parlay this fight to go under 3.5 and the Jarrett fight Hurd to go over 7.5, then both things must happen. And again, when you say 3.5, it means the 4th round at 1 minute and 30 seconds in the 4th round. And now this is a little bit of a side conversation. Again, we're still kind of discussing Devin Haney since the fight the past weekend. And, there's been some talk about Teofimo Lopez. I think it's evident now, or at least for now, that Teofimo Lopez would certainly be the favorite in that fight. Teofimo is a stronger, more explosive puncher than Linares, much younger than Linares. People have brought up the fact that, Linares knocked down Lomachenko. Yeah, but then Lomachenko went and stopped him. And that was a Linares that hadn't lost in about a decade. And also, 12 fights. And that was also a Linares that was much younger than this one. This is a Linares that actually did better as the fight went on against Devin Haney. So Haney's clearly still learning. I think a fight against Teofimo is a little bit premature the more I think about it. I think he needs another fight or two under his belt before coming up against some of these other champs at 135 pounds. Like I said, I think 135 pounds is the best division in boxing right now. Too many top pound-for-pound guys, including Devin Haney as well. So I think he's around where Ryan Garcia is, right at that level. Ryan Garcia himself nearly got stopped by Luke Campbell. So I think they could face each other. I think both these guys are just a notch below that top echelon of Lomachenko, Teofimo, and Gervonta Davis if he stays in this weight class. That's just like a little aside. So again, guys, that's going to do it for me. Enjoy this weekend's fights. Good luck if you do choose to bet. Again, nothing that I said was financial advice. You're your own people. You make your own bets. This was just for educational purposes. And we're just talking smack. It's over.
I'm gonna go home and break my wife's hip.
Don't brag about taking my side piece. Don't brag about taking my side piece, though.
I broke my back. Back is broken. Spinal.
And she's strong, man. Good boy, just.